motion. I see Ambassador Peter Thompson in the back there. All of our Commonwealth leaders. Concludes the formal presentations, and I want to...
Thank you, Excellencies. Good afternoon. Bula Binaka, and a very good afternoon to you all. Secretary General, where's she gone to? Oh, it's standing right in front of me. It's wonderful to see you back in our Moana Pavilion following our opening events and evening to start the week. As always, I'm glad and grateful for the personal fire you bring to climate action and oceans preservation and the global linkage of these two critical campaigns. You know, as I know, the Commonwealth can play a vital role as a staging ground for the global coalition. We must convene to save our seas from further devastation. The abuse of our oceans and the life they sustain has come directly at the expense of the well-being of all oceanic people. Our fishermen are pulling up empty lines in seas once teeming with fish. Families are struggling to pay the rising prices of kai, clams, and kawakawa, the grouper, nama, the sea grapes, and other dietary staples. And our oceanic ecosystems are succumbing to the deadly acidification of seas, our seas. For us, the climate emergency is an oceans emergency. Our oceans and the mangroves, the seagrass and kelp fields they contain are removing massive amounts of carbon from the atmosphere. But the absorption of carbon emissions is coming at a dangerously high price. If reckless levels of global emissions continue, our oceans will more closely resemble lifeless wastelands than the bustling, beautiful ecosystems my generation has sadly taken for granted. When I hear and see of the suffering of the Fijian people, I have to tell them, yes, we must act in the face of this crisis, but Fiji cannot act alone. Our patch of sea is vulnerable to pollution, emissions, and even overfishing from far beyond our shores. And we must use our voice in international forums such as this to ingrain the importance of healthy oceans in the hearts and minds of every politician, every CEO, and every person on the planet. The 53 nations that compose our organization come in all sizes, vastly ranging both geographically and economically. Our rich diversity makes us a microcosm of the wider world. By coming together and forging oceans cooperation, we show it is possible for the entire community of nations to do the same. From our role as co-chair of the first UN Conference on Oceans, to the launch of the Ocean Pathway at COP23, to our unrelenting effort on behalf of all PCIDs to ingrain oceans in the process of the UNFCCC, Fiji is in this campaign to get tangible results. It is why we stepped forward to champion the Ocean and Climate Change Action Group as part of the Commonwealth's Blue Charter. And it is why I believe we should convene a special preparatory meeting at the next UN General Assembly to review our progress and ensure we are united and properly aligned in advocating for oceans' health. But Fiji isn't going to the world wagging our fingers and demanding to be saved. We're acting to save ourselves as best as we can and set an example the world can follow. From 1 January next year, single-use plastics will be banned in Fiji, with a ban on styrofoam following a year later. This week I will lead a soft launch of a new coalition of countries committed to 100% integrated management of our EEZs, with up to 30% declared marine protected areas by 2030. In line with the aspiration of our Blue Charter, I urge our fellow Commonwealth nations to join Fiji in Lisbon next June at the second UN Oceans Conference to commit to large-scale EEZ protection. And we cannot forget the 60% of our oceans outside of national boundaries. By strengthening EEZ protection, we protect the high seas from much of humanity's abuses. I know I'm among many friends of our oceans this evening, and I'm likely preaching to the choir for many of you. These allies we must enlist in this campaign lie beyond the walls of this pavilion out there in the wider world. I'm not only talking to leaders of governments and businesses, I'm talking about the ordinary people going about their lives, who are breathing air supplied by our oceans and eating food provided by our seas. At the end of the day, it is their individual actions and decisions that will make or break this campaign. It will come down to what they choose to buy, how they dispose of their waste, who they choose as their leaders, and how powerfully they use their voices to support this cause. As an organization with many small island states among its ranks, the Commonwealth of Nations must be the example our world so badly needs in filling the ocean climate gap with ambition, cooperation, and actions backed by science. The 2.4 billion people our nations represent and the many billions more in generations to come demanded. Thank you.